How's everybody doing today? Welcome to our next math unit, which is parallel lines cut by a transversal. I strongly suggest that while you're watching this, you take some notes. There's going to be a lot of vocabulary here, not a lot of solving stuff, but a lot of vocabulary for you to try and remember and identify. So, in this unit, we're going to have parallel lines. Parallel lines, you probably remember, are two lines that do not intersect. So in this particular example, we have two parallel lines, line L and line M. And so I wrote that off to the side here. Line L is parallel to line M. Those two bars going up like that, those indicate parallel in math. And it's cut by a transversal N, which is right here. So that's just a line that's going to cut through our two parallel lines. And in the process, it's going to form 8 different angles here for us. Angle A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. And so what we're going to learn today are what some of these angles are called in relation to other angles that are displayed here. So the first one we're going to start with are what are called vertical angles. Vertical angles are angles that are opposite of each other. And vertical angles are always going to be congruent, meaning they're going to be the same measure. So in this particular example, A and C are vertical angles. They're sort of opposite of each other right here. Those two angles will have the same measure. So if angle A is 50 degrees, that means angle C is going to be 50 degrees as well. So vertical angles will be angle A and angle C. Also, angle B and angle D would be considered vertical angles. So angle B and angle D. And by the same token, angles E and G are vertical angles. And also angle F and angle H are vertical angles. So that means if we know what A is, we also know that C is the same thing. If we know what D is, we know that B is going to be the same as that. So those are what are called vertical angles. All right, I'm going to erase that real quick and then move on to our next type of angles that we're going to identify. The next type that we're going to talk about are what are called supplementary angles. Now, supplementary angles are not equal to each other or not congruent. Supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. So in our example here, where we have angles A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, angles A and B are supplementary. They're next to each other on the same line, so they are going to add up to 180. So if angle A was 80 degrees, that would mean that angle B would be 100 degrees. Now also, if we look here, angle A and D are on the same line here, this line right here. So those would also be considered supplementary angles. Those are just means that those two angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. So A and B, A and D, those are supplementary angles. And there's a lot of other examples you could probably see here. Angles F and E are supplementary. Angles G and F are supplementary. Angles G and H are supplementary. A lot of different examples of that. I'm not going to bore you with the details here for this one. All right, there are 3 other types of angles that we want to talk about. And so to do that, I want to point out to you guys, didn't mean to erase there. If you look in our box here, we have angle A and angle E are in the same spot. Angle D and angle H, those would be also considered in the same spot. So when angles are in the same spot, just on their different parallel line, that's what we refer to as corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are also always going to be equal to each other or congruent to each other. So angle A is going to be the same as angle E. Angle B would be the same as angle F. Angle C would be the same as angle G. And angle D would be the same as angle H. All right, two more that we need to talk about here. Next one is what we call alternate interior angles. These angles are also going to be congruent to each other. Same thing. So alternate interior angles are angles that are inside of our parallel lines. So our parallel lines are L and M. So they're on the interior of it, but are on opposite sides. So in this particular example, angle C and E are alternate interior angles. Also, angles F and D are alternate interior angles. Notice how they're in between my parallel lines there. Now, the last type we're going to talk about are called alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior are very similar to the alternate interior, just as you might assume. They are on the outside. So that's going to be talking about angles like A and G, outside of my parallel lines, but on the opposite side. So A and G are alternate exterior angles, and angles B and H are alternate exterior angles. Now those angles, just like alternate interior and just like corresponding, are going to be congruent. All right, I know this was a lot of vocabulary, so try your best. You may need to pause the video a few times to get some stuff down, but do your best on those practice problems, and we will definitely revisit this tomorrow.